What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another review. This time we're taking a look at The Town, directed by Ben Affleck, starring Ben Affleck, Rebecca Hall, John Hamm, Jeremy Renner, and Blake Lively. Now, The Town is about a bunch of bank robbers from Charleston, Massachusetts, who rob banks for a living, and now they are planning to take on the ultimate bank job by trying to rob Fenway Park. While all the while, Doug, the character played by Ben Affleck, is in a relationship with a woman named Claire, played by Rebecca Hall. Now, it should be noted that at the beginning of this movie, the robbers had robbed this bank, and Claire happened to be the manager of said bank. So, as a way to keep a tail on this character of Claire to make sure that she does not spill the beans, the character of Doug pretty much becomes a spy. But in so doing so, he ends up falling head over heels for this woman, and her vice versa, which starts to create a lot of friction and tense relationship with his friend Jem, played by Jeremy Renner. In addition to all of that, these bank robbers are being hunted down by Agent Frawley, played by John Hamm, and the FBI. So yeah, that is the overall basic plot line of The Town. Let's talk about it. I thought The Town was excellent. The Town is a fantastic movie. This movie reminds me so much of Michael Mann's Heat. It's very similar in tone. It's very similar in stories in a lot of ways. But Ben Affleck doesn't do a ripoff. He does a loving homage to the Heat, but he clearly is telling his own story, and he's taking the story and he's clearly doing his own thing. This was the first movie that I saw where Ben Affleck really started to turn me around as an actor and as a talent. This movie is fantastic. Before I talk about the cast, the production value of this movie is utterly fantastic. Ben Affleck as a director, he's amazing. Ben Affleck, he brings a gritty, just grounded realism to movies that he directs. And this movie is no exception. I love the fact that this movie has a realistic tone to it. The fact that it takes place in a small portion of Massachusetts really gives it that very close quarters type of feel to it. And what's so brilliant about it is that Ben Affleck pretty much made this little town feel like its own place of the universe. It's almost as if once you're in it, it's really hard for you to get out of it. As we see in a lot of scenes where the character of Doug is trying to escape this town, but his friends won't let him. His friends won't let him. And I love that I love the environment that Ben Affleck created with that sense. In addition to that, I think the action sequences in this movie are really well done. That opening scene where they're robbing that first bank, brilliantly directed. And when you get to the third act of the movie, that entire third act is just is just outstanding. Wonderfully paced, beautifully suspenseful. The action in the third act is just gripping, gritty, and very very dark. Especially when you get what happens with the character of Jem, who gets shot to ribbons at the end of the third act. Beautifully done. And the rest of the movie is much better. Is that much better because it's character development. Ben Affleck took the time to develop the majority of these characters and make you care about them as people, make you care about the relationships that they're in. We care about the FBI agent Frawley, who is doing whatever he can to stop these people to the point where he's using the group where he uses Claire, played by Rebecca Hall. We see Claire and Doug develop their romance that's built most pretty much on a lie since Doug and his crew had held her hostage at the beginning of the movie. And now they're striking up a romance unbeknownst to Claire. And when Claire finds that out, obviously she's very distraught. And Rebecca Hall's performance, fantastic throughout this entire movie. This was my first exposure to Rebecca Hall as an actress. She's great. In this movie, she's really great. I thought her and Ben Affleck had outstanding chemistry. They work so well off one another. Jeremy Renner, who plays the character of Jem, who is the hot-headed best friend who was like a brother to the Doug character. Jeremy Renner in this movie, he's fantastic. He and Ben Affleck, again, they have great on-screen chemistry. I buy them as being childhood close friends. They play so well off one another. It's ridiculous as to how natural Affleck and Renner have good on-screen chemistry. Blake Lively, she's in this movie. She plays the character called Krista, who is pretty much the sister of the Jem character and was in a romance with Dougie. In the scenes that Blake Lively was in, I thought she was fine in it, though I don't think her character was utilized good enough. doesn't really play a big role until you get to the end of the movie, where the Frawley character played by John Hamm starts to use her a little bit. Honestly, truthfully, you could have just gave all of that to the Claire character, and not have the Krista character be in there, because the movie doesn't really do anything with Krista, to me at least. Speaking of which, this movie also includes Chris Cooper and Pete Postlewaite. This was Pete Postlewaite's very final film role. He plays a florist who pretty much gives out jobs to Doug and his crew. But it's also revealed when you get to the end of the movie that the florist was also named Fergie, was also responsible for the death of Doug's mother. And Fergie and Doug have a great payoff at the end of this movie, where Doug pretty much kills Fergie, deservedly so, by clipping his nuts, as Fergie had said he did to his father once. As a final performance, I thought Pete Postlewaite, he did a good job in the scenes that he was in. Now, obviously, the man was suffering from cancer, so he couldn't be in a bigger role in this movie. But in the scenes that he was in, Pete Postlewaite, he's a natural when it comes to acting. The man is just so good, and I enjoyed the scenes that he was in. I really liked the scene when Doug is in jail talking to his father, played by Chris Cooper. They have a very tense, nuanced conversation about pretty much life, and I like that as well. I thought Chris Cooper in that scene that he was in did a good job. Maybe I would like to have seen maybe just one more follow-up scene between the two. That's just me personally. Uh, John Hamm, who plays Adrian Frawley. I like John Hamm as an actor. I enjoyed him in this movie. He's accompanied by by actor Titus Welliver, who plays like his partner in a way, named Dino, who was actually from Boston and grew up pretty much in bed with Dougie and the rest, and he's pretty much a sellout for joining the cops. I thought they were fine in their roles as well. I think John Hamm as Agent Frawley, you can tell he's trying to do anything he can to catch these guys, to the point where he will use Claire, and to the point where he will use Krista in order to get the job done. I like the budding tension that develops between Doug and Frawley. I think I'd like to see more of that rivalry develop over the course of this movie. I think that would have been a pretty more interesting rivalry. Though it is good. For what Ben Affleck did put on screen. uh, so yeah, that's pretty much all I got to say about The Town. This is a great movie. I loved it. It's very reminiscent of Heat. It has a same structure and same feel to it, but The Town also brings its own thing to the table. Take away my minor criticisms, this movie is a 9 out of 10. It's fantastic, and I highly recommend it. So yeah, those are my thoughts on The Town. There's a lot more to talk about, but that's all I got to say. Well, let me know yours in the comment sections down below. Like this video and subscribe, and I will check you back next time for more.